Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Pasty-T Garage. Here we are working on the 2004 Ford Focus, and what we're going to be doing today is changing our EGR, changing our DPFE sensor. We're going to change our PCV valve, or positive crankcase ventilation valve, and also the hose that's associated with it. And then I have a spark plug here because there was one spark plug, I believe it's in cylinder 3, that the electrodes were a little off-centered, so I just wanted to go ahead and replace that with a plug that was better. So as you can see down here, here's where our EGR is, kind of underneath this intake. And then our DPFE sensor is right here. It's got two hoses connecting to it and then this electrical connector. Now the PCV valve and the hose is going to be back behind all of this mess. So we're going to have to remove this, the throttle body, probably move some other stuff out of the way just so that we can get to it. And then the valve itself is also going to be located on one end of that hose. So we're going to go ahead and do all those today. I'm also going to be just double checking all the electrical connections and making sure that we don't have any sort of extra vacuum leaks or corroded, connections, grounds, any sort of plugs that might be oil saturated. Just kind of while we're all in there, we're going to go ahead and take care of all that. So that's going to be the episode for today. So I hope y'all look forward to watching this. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and disconnect the battery. We're going to do the same thing, disconnect the positive cabling, loosening this little nut on this post up. I'm going to grab a rag to place in between the post and the connector. Then we're going to remove the intake. I'm going to go ahead and remove this electrical connection right here. I'm going to remove it all the way. So I'm going to take these bolts loose and then also remove it from this coupler over here because we're just going to pull the whole thing off. I don't know why I didn't grab tools to begin with. Okay. Set that to the side. Just for sake of not messing up my filter, I'm going to pull that out too. Alright, since we're going to be getting the EGR out, I'm going to remove this hose. It's got two little prongs that stick in the intake box. Move that out of the way. Pull this off. I'm going to go ahead and remove this all the way, if it will let me. Because what I want to check to see is this hose is hard, but it doesn't look broken. But I probably have some replacement hose. So what I may end up doing is just replacing this anyways that goes on the top of that. Alright, we're going to try to pull these off. Okay. Let's see. Hopefully they don't prove to be too difficult. Now since these can get mixed up, they are different sizes, as you can see. But I'm going to go ahead and put the one that goes on the right side to the right, and then the one that goes to the left side I'm going to place over there. So now it looks like we have two 7mm or 6.5mm bolts right here. And this electrical connection. Okay. Set that out of the way. Try 7 first. Okay, 7 is good. fish it around our little brake reservoir connector. There. So just to compare, we just want to make sure that it's the exact same. It looks like it's pretty similar. This one almost looks like it has some residue in there. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but we just want to make sure that they're the same, have the same connectors, all that kind of stuff. Just to go ahead and verify that we do have a adequate replacement. So I'm going to go ahead and hand thread this just a little bit to keep it in there. Same with this bolt. And then we'll go ahead and tighten it back up. Okay. You don't want to tighten it too tight. Alright. Clips back in. Perfect. Go ahead and connect to the right hose. Alright. And fish the left hose. Okay, that's replaced. Alright, next thing we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and spray down, it's probably hard to see, this bolt right here, this nut. I'm going to spray it down with some PB Blaster because the EGR gets so hot, it could be seized up a little bit. We're also going to pull this box out of the way just so that I can get a wrench in there to break it loose. So we have to remove these two, because the box actually has this hose that connects all the way to it. So I'm going to remove this, remove the box, and then pull it all out of the way. So this just pulls up. It is little, sticks a little bit. There we go. Yeah, so this just has these feet. As you can see, one's broken, but it just sticks in there. So we're going to pull that out. Alright, well, it seems like I don't even have to take this out. So we're going to go ahead and put that back. So, yeah, so we have this cable that we can kind of just move a little bit because we want to gain access to that. So we'll get some PB Blaster. Seems I need to get some PB Blaster. Okay, we also have two 10mm bolts right there. We're going to see if those break free with our 1/4 inch. If they do, we'll be in good luck. If not, I might have to spray them down. Okay. Now we just want to break them loose. We don't want to pull them out because we want to use that bracket as leverage in order to get the bottom, okay, good, to get this bottom nut loose. Place our tools over there. Alright, now we're going to get an adjustable wrench. I don't believe I have the exact size for that. It might be a 24. I don't think I have a 24. So this is a 22. As you can see, it's still too small. Here's a 24. Yeah, it's still a little too small. So, we need the tried and true adjustable wrench. What I'm hoping is it will just break free. Oh my goodness, that was extremely easy to break free. I got lucky on that. So if you're lucky, you'll be able to just hand thread that nut off like we just did after breaking it free. Now we're going to take the two bolts loose with our ratchet. sure to pull them off by hand. Don't want to drop it because it's kind of a nest down there. Sometimes you might have to wiggle the top. See, these aren't even that rusted. That's good. But we have new bolts, so we'll put the new bolts in. Well, we can save the old ones just in case. Now that is loose. Again, we're going to wiggle a little bit just to get the bolt out, and then the whole valve should just pull up. Now, the valve doesn't look terrible. I mean, one check you could do is you could suck on this little top piece, and the valve should actuate up and down. This diaphragm should move. Again, we'll go ahead and compare the old and the new. Make sure all the connections, thread pitch, everything looks good. Looks pretty good. Came with the new gaskets, that's good. And then I'm going to go ahead and look down inside the pipe, make sure there's no super corrosion or anything. But since that's good, we'll go ahead and set that on the pipe. And get the bolts lined up. So I'm going to start everything, and then I'm going to tighten them up once I have all the connections. Alright. So I'm going to hand thread. Hand thread the connections on. It's a little tight in there. Oh, the gasket fell out. So I've got one side in. Okay, the other side doesn't want it. There we go. Okay, so both sides are in. Now we're going to slide the nut up. We might have to wiggle a little bit to get the nut to line up with that threading at the bottom. So I do want to make note, because I didn't express this earlier, but when tightening or loosening this nut right here, you want to make sure that you're tightening it according to its orientation. Now, by me pulling towards myself, normally that would be tightening because you're looking at the bolt going that way, not coming this way. But when you tighten a bolt that's coming up towards you clockwise, it's actually loosening it. So when we tighten this bolt, or I'm sorry, this nut, we want to make sure that we go counterclockwise. So I'm going to tighten these 10 millimeters all the way. Kind of pull them up a little bit before I get the final little torque on it. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and just torque it a little bit. It has a crush washer on it, so that'll prevent any sort of leaking. But we just want to make sure it's tight. Now I'm going to tighten the nut at the bottom. Again, now, just make sure it's tight. It doesn't need to be Herculean tight. That should be good enough. I'm going to put the old one down here. Same with the old DPFE sensor. We're just going to set it down. Alright, now the next step we have is to go ahead and, old bolts. We're going to go ahead and work back here, because this hose is the one that we're going to have to replace. So, it's got a clamp at the bottom, I can feel, seems like the head of the clamp is facing towards the back. Actually seems like, and then it connects right here. So we're going to try to pull it off at this point. It might be a little seized. I'm not 100% sure. And then down in here is where our crankcase is. Apparently I have a bracket that's not connected. Okay, well, we'll connect that too. But either way, I'm going to want to remove this out of the way because we're going to have to get down in there. So, looks like a 14. 13. Set this up here. Yeah, because we want to remove that hose, which there's this tube, and then it goes to the positive crank ventilation down there. Oh yeah, let's make sure we connect that piece back. If hoses get a little tight and they don't want to just pull off, it is okay to use a screwdriver to kind of work the end off a little bit. If they're too seized, then you can always use a razor blade to cut it and tear it off, because if you're replacing it, then it doesn't matter if you rip the hose. There we go. Alright. There's one end. Like I said, the other end, you can't really see it, but it feels like it has a clamp on it. So I don't know if I can get this screwdriver back there. No, I need a smaller one. Might need to use a ratchet. Let's see if I can get a light and a mirror down there. See exactly what I'm working with. Yeah, so you can see the clamp right there. So that's the hose we're going to replace. So we're going to get a stubby screwdriver. We're going to do the same trick with the screwdriver. Kind of try to pull up on the end of the hose connection. I know it's really hard to see. Okay. Now, this doesn't look bad at all. Somebody may have already replaced it. We have our new hose, so I'll go ahead and replace it anyways. We'll keep that one as a backup. I'm going to go ahead and tighten it a little bit up here so it doesn't fly off. Not that tight. press it down on there. That's a little tight. Alright. And then orient the other side onto this piece. Press that on. And walk our clamp all the way down. This clamp seems to be a little bit bigger. I'm sorry, the hose seems to be a little bit thicker than the previous hose. So I'm just going to loosen the clamp a little bit more so I can slide it over the port at the bottom. It's really hard to see. You just kind of have to use your hands to feel for where the hose is. And then you're just going to tighten the clamp back up. Don't forget to put back your port connector right there. So while we're here, we're going to go ahead and check the other connections for vacuum, just to make sure. Alright, so that's replaced. Now we just need to replace our valve. And so you can hear how it's kind of rattling on the inside. That means that it's not frozen up. If it doesn't rattle, it means that you've got a valve that's frozen. We're going to go ahead and remove that. We're just going to try to gain more clearance. But these are all coolant lines, so we don't want to take those loose, because then you'll have coolant everywhere. We don't want coolant everywhere. Well, I decided not to replace the PCV valve, which is right here, because the one that I have is the incorrect one. So we're going to go ahead and abstain from that right now. But basically, so here's the thermostat. And if you were to take these bolts out, then you would leak coolant because the thermostat would be open. But underneath this thermostat housing is a bolt that actually holds this pipe to the block. So my recommendation is, if you've ever replaced the thermostat, go ahead and replace your PCV valve at the same time, because it'll be super easy at that point. One bolt, move the hose, pull it out. So we're going to go ahead and reinstall everything, and then we're going to check everything out and see if we, see if we have a thumbs up or not. So I'm going to go ahead and reinstall everything. Well, I'm checking out all the connections on the hood, make sure everything's good. I'm going to go ahead and leave it there. So that was a repair of the EGR, DPFE sensor. We replaced this hose back here for the PCV, and then we also checked the PCV out. And of course, like I said, I don't have the correct one, but we'll go from there. So that's going to do it for me today, guys. Thanks again for joining us on another episode of Pasty-T Garage. Again, we're working on a 2004 Ford Focus with the 2-liter Zetec engine in it, and we replaced the EGR, the DPFE sensor, the PCV hose that goes to the back of the intake manifold, and we also checked our PCV out to make sure that it was functioning properly. So I hope you all enjoyed it. If y'all have any comments or questions, please leave them below. If you're not subscribed to the channel, I'd appreciate if you hit that sub button. We can go on this journey together. Give me some ideas of things that you want me to work on. I do have a plan of doing some sort of a, educational type of videos where it's be how does the transmission work, how does the differential work, that kind of stuff. So let me know what y'all think in the comments, and we will see you in the next one.